very fortunate. I think that part of invasive species, I'm hoping quite extensively with they're maybe the center of our approach that we always look at, and they're awareness, knowledge, pretty simple approach about it. You have to gain knowledge on the subject, and actually, so the township has already done some things in terms of action, in terms of starting designing, which that's also going to bring. So we're already on the correct path of basically, taking the steps, the appropriate steps. So this slide here, just for a little bit of. So everybody, the last time I was here, I spoke to everyone and discussed beaver mussels and what's clear. But just to give you a more macro picture of things, Golden Lake, they don't have mussels, they don't have other things, but rainbow trout. And everybody talked about the snow fry that they have and things like that. And my understanding was always in like 3 to 5 million species. They're over 13. And it's actually, rainbow trouts are considered an invasive species. So that is affecting other populations and other species. That's the one that they're fighting. They are infected of beaver mussels, but that is considered an invasive species, and it is impact. Lake Kaminesky, okay, so they're not actually a plant that's affecting them. It's called water milfoil, and actually that actual species is literally the worst one. That's actually so they're huge all around it. They're very fortunate that we're affecting this yet. The last one is Lake Clear, and showed everyone last time whenever we spoke about this, what zebra mussels look like, and the impacts from that area. So as I said before, we know what our risks are. We have knowledge in it. Okay, we need to take action to it. So we're at the stage now that signs are a good start. Now we have to look at prevention steps in terms of how we're going to mitigate it so that we don't become, and I'm not disrespecting these other lakes, but by the same token, they're in the midst of it, they're dealing with it. And if we can avoid having to deal with it, then we're actually on the right path. Next slide. So the invasive species center, this machine that you see on the side, the invasive species center out of Sault Ste. Marie, what they do is they have this machine. It's solar powered, and basically what it does, to kind of give you the quick rundown, is on the right hand side of it, you see there's a hose. So that's a shop vac basically. So that's to allow guys to drain out their live wells and their wells on the boat, vacuum anything off of the boat. In the middle, there's tongs so that you can pull any weeds or debris and stuff like that off your boat. Likewise with the brush, obviously if there's things on the hull of your boat, and then at the very front of it, there's actually an air hose so you can use compressed air. This machine is totally self-contained, so there's solar panel batteries, there's no external requirements to it. Other than with the shop vac throughout, it's like everything else, it has to get pumped out the tank that stores all the liquids. But this right here is basically the transition that I'm explaining to everybody. It's turning awareness into action. So we already know what our risks are. This is something that this machine's been in existence, if I'm not mistaken, about 11 or 12 years this company's been making. And it actually has a very great impact. There's actually some of these machines currently mounted on concrete pads at Shoal Lake and some other areas. So that it's definitely an action, a mechanism that is a very appropriate way in terms of getting awareness out to people, but also giving them the tools to clean off their boats and also basically any watercraft, I should say. Okay, great. So what I've done is I've approached actually the Invasive Species Center. They have 2 of these machines that they actually rent/lease out for the summer. We were scheduled to get one this summer, but unfortunately there was a little bit of logistical mix up with them. So I've already slated us for next summer to have one in this location. The cost of it is $4,100 plus tax. And then basically it's on a trailer. It's what I'm suggesting is the exact same one you saw in the previous picture. So it's on a trailer, so if we needed to move it or we need to find an appropriate spot for it, it's easy to do that. Um, Here's the, I guess, the approach or what the thing that I want to basically have everybody kind of think of. The last council meeting I was at, we were talking about reserves and uses for it. And I would really like everyone to consciously think about the fact that this machine here is a 1 year rental, and the nice part with this is there's statistics and metrics that you get from this machine. You will know how many times that all the devices have been used. Every time they come out, it's logged and it's tracked and it goes to a spreadsheet. So you can get real time, or, at the end of the month, you want to know how many times was the vacuum used, so you know how well this piece of equipment is actually working and are people using it. Because we're gonna have a beautiful sign put up at the boat launch saying that you're responsible to clean your boat, right? And now we're taking it on the person to hopefully that they will do it. Now we've provided them the tool to do it. So now there's no excuse. You have a sign, you've been advised, you have the equipment sitting there. What I'm proposing is the first year, with a rental of $4,100 plus tax, gives us a very good test base to know how well it's going to be used and how well it's going to be accepted. Any of the other lake associations that have purchased these machines and have them in place, they say the same as everyone else. If there's somebody that are using it and showing them how to use it, it gets a higher usage than if there's nobody. So obviously, the association, we're gonna try to have people manning them. I'm not gonna tell you 24/7, but you know what? If there's a fishing derby, I can promise you there's gonna be somebody there. So the big influxes of boats and watercraft, that's the time for us to address it. The second part of this is, this machine new is over $70,000. I just got the revised quote from them today, so $70,000 plus tax, so not a cheap piece of equipment. When I was speaking to the Invasive Species Center, what they've done is they rent this or lease this out on 1 year terms. At the end of the period that we would have it, before it could go back, we would have the potential of buying that piece of equipment for $30,000. And it's basically then on a cost recovery basis. So they buy it at 70, not 5, not 5, not 5. So that's what they've been doing. So at the end of the next cycle that we would have it here, we could potentially buy it. And we'd be buying it in the 30,000 range, probably less, which is a far cry from the $70,000 of a brand new machine. So I wanted to, and the operation costs are $1,500. The biggest chunk of that is about 85% of that is actually the software cost of it. The other 15% is tool replacement and also pumps. Like I said, the tank that's rolling, whatever you can shop at. But I guess my attraction to this and what I'm suggesting to the council is, this is a good way for us to start and get some awareness happening and actually tools in place. Next slide. So that's, and I've actually provided to Tammy also the documents in terms of what the pricing is actually on this as well. So you can see the breakdown of it and what it all includes on a new machine that is. So, but this machine here would have all the same components as what you're seeing right now, other than just the price. I wanted to move on to the second subject of fish stocking. So I guess the first part of it is the township has always supported fish stocking. Actually, I'm getting good at reading out things. Back in as recent as January 2023, actually the mayor sent a letter to the supervisor for MNRF saying that they wanted the stocking of the lake, and I think I forgot that as well. So wanting the stocking of Round Lake to recommence. That was also in the Eatonville Leader. There was a whole article that the Eatonville Leader did about it. And then I provided a historical document that we had at the association that showed all of the fish stocking that occurred. That's the one with the picture on the top, from 2012 to 2014, and that was the last period in which any stocking has occurred on Round Lake. We're fortunate enough now that after all this time, and our good fortune has come by means of Stan Baruski, because he's been a dog with a bone, a nice dog, but he's not letting go. So I think, Brian, you worked with him as well on the fish stocking. And so we've now been advised that they actually have a fish management plan for this lake. The only component that we're waiting for right now is from the fish hatchery in Bancroft to see how much they can actually stock. So, and the goal would be anywhere from 6,000 to 10,000, but that, until we have that hard number from them, we won't know where we stand. But the good thing is we do have a biologist and an assistant already assigned to us from MNRF. MNRF has already engaged that they are going to be the ones taking the spawn and actually getting the fish back in. The beauty of that is because MNRF is involved, we don't have to do any licensing or anything of the sort. So we're dealing with professionals, and because of that, the province waives all those other requirements. So the first thing I guess that I'm looking at is, one, we have good news in the sense that we have a go-ahead after all these years that there actually is a plan and it's going to be implemented. The first drawing, once we get our word back from the fish hatchery, would be in October is when they would be taking eggs. They would be over the winter, then the physical stocking wouldn't be happening until October of next year. But based on the previous stockings, you'll see there usually is a 4 to 5 year regime on this. So as you'll see in the next slide, the biggest difference, I'll tell everybody, and you know what a surprise, costs have gone up on things since 2012. So before, fingerlings were $1.35 per, and now they're $5 per. So, you know, it's not just an increase in true cost. The old fingerlings in terms of size were about, I think, 3 to 5 inches, whereas the new ones are 8 to 10. Beauty of that is that an 8 to 10 inch fingerling has a better lesser mortality rate or better chance of living than a small one. So you're actually, yes, you'll have less fish for the dollar, but the probability of them surviving is much higher. So that's a good thing. In Round Lake, we have a little extra bonus that will happen for us. We also have a smelt run, not to the extent of Golden Lake, thank God, but actually that is actually good feeding for the lake trout as well. So it's going to help us manage that side of it as well. So as with this, like I said, next slide. So quick and dirty math: 4 times the investment delivers 3 times the fish, but the size is considerably larger. So I think bang for the buck in terms of, you know, the amount that are going to survive obviously is going to be better. As I mentioned, MNRF is going to handle everything in terms of collection and also actually resupply. Bottom line is, we're going to maximize our impact. Our responsibility, obviously, any stocking is the responsibility of the requester. So based on this, once we know our numbers, then we'll know in terms of what our cost amount is. In 2014, KHR committed $2,000 towards the funding of it. What I'm requesting, and like I said, these funds will be commencing obviously with the beginning of collection and everything, is for the council to look at funding $7,500 because everything has gone up since 2014. But this is also on an annualized basis till the completion of this program. So it's not I'm requesting not a one-shot deal, but every year they're going to keep restocking. And I want it, like I said, this way you can plan for it, you can accrue it, whatever mechanism you wanted to do in terms of allowing for it. Like I said, we're final steps. Like I said, we need to know where we're at with the fish hatchery and obviously financial foundation for to manage what the cost of it. Next slide. Lake safety. So this is not Scott's garbage. So as part of the trial, what the association has done is we purchased these buoys, okay, and they're lit. So these buoys currently, we purchased 2 of them, and they're going to be in high visibility, high risk areas. On the top of it's a solar panel. They're good for 20 years, these buoys. And just to acknowledge everybody so that they don't worry about the night sky being affected, this is a dull glow in the water, but it is orange. It is the color you're going to see. And like I said, it's the same as the rest of the buoys. They're out there. They're anchored off the bottom, same as everything else. So, can you go to the next slide? So very subtle, like as I said, preserves the night sky, as I mentioned. Future expansion, like I said, if it's successful this year, then we'll look at purchasing more. They are costly, and this is a fully RLPO funded project. And ultimately, our goal is for safer waters. That's ultimately what it is. That just gives you a little bit of, you know, how bright they are at nighttime. They're not going to be invasive at all, which is kind of humorous based on the purpose. Next one. Last one, I'm gonna make it, Dave. Thank you to the township. Supporting recreation and social activities. The association has really stepped it up. As everybody knows, Margot's been doing a fantastic job in terms of activities with the association. And you know, we've had more this year than we've ever had. You know, we're looking at, there's 2 to 3 events every month, and everybody's welcome. So it's not a Round Lake specific thing, it's open, right? Anyways, I basically wanted to thank Carolyn and I wanted to thank Colton, okay, for both of them helping us so much with the rec center over at Round Lake, and also Colton for re-putting things back onto the township website. You know what, the same as everything else, advertising helps and gets the awareness out to everyone. And that's basically a thank you from the association. Awesome. Close it. Look at the top corner, I'm good for that. Final slide, so all the things that I've discussed, I actually did provide links on the next slide, so if anybody wants to look into it deeper, by all means, there's links for everything. As I mentioned, there's 2 to 3 events every single month that Margot has actually dug into it and is doing, so you know what? Everybody's welcome, and you know what, like I said, thank you, Colton, and also thank you, Carl. Here's the links and the references that I mentioned, and also the link to the leader and everything there. Is there any questions from anybody, or?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Why wasn't it in the 70s, Round Lake was the best pickerel fishing lake in this country? What's with the M&R with this, not putting pickerel back in that lake?
And you know what, I'll tell you, Carl, we do this every single time. And, what we're told from MNRF is that it is not a pickerel lake. They're adamant, I know a fisherman will say otherwise, but this is a biologist and that's all we can go by the science.
They sure did good in the 70s and they're.
Well, you know what, actually, if I look in the past, actually, there actually was some stalking that you folks did in past back previously. So, you know, but that's what we've asked that numerous times, so. Any other questions?
Couple regarding the spray machine or whatever it's called there.
Yep.
So just looking at the quote or the.
Yep.
There. Says a $4,000 shipping. So is there a $4,000 shipping fee for a rental one?
No. So I know exactly where you're going. So this is what the cost of buying a brand new unit, so that's why it comes down to the $70-some-odd thousand. The machines are made in Minnesota, St. Paul, so it's shipping from there to here. And to answer your question, I said, what's the cost if I shipped it to Sault Ste. Marie? Get it across the border. And then the shipping costs drop to $2,500. So just for your numbers' sake. The cost of bringing the machine from Sault Ste. Marie here is borne on the receiver. So the machines do come from Sault Ste. Marie. What happens at the end of every year, they have to go back, they get basically reset up for the winter and stored, and then in the spring, which is usually May when they're cut loose, that's on us that.
So and down the road, if they were to buy one here, it would have to go out to Sault Ste. Marie still.
No. So the only thing you'd be on the hook for, so let's fast forward to next year. So maybe we go pick up the machine, it's here, we've used it all year. End of the year, we say we want to buy it. Have a great day, it's yours now. And the only thing then would be our annual obligation would be about $1,500. And that's for like I said, the software of it and also maintenance pump outs and any tool replacement or. Okay.
And on a rental one, with that 1,500 is there as well for maintenance, like are we responsible for?
No. So when we get the machine, that's what the annual cost that they pay right now, the invasive species center.
And so if we have a rental one, do we have to insure it? Like if it's on a trailer,
Right.
does it disappear?
Yes. I'll be honest with you, I don't have a hard answer for that, but I actually did get the contract from them that shows the limited liability clause and everything actually from them, so I will get you that answer for sure.
Yeah, I had a question on that too.
So I started right.
Anyhow, we'll go ahead to the fish stocking when, the $7,500 annual, is that strictly for us, like the municipality, or does that include?
No, so let's, on the lows, so we were given like a pretty wide berth of cost, so our numbers, 6,000 to 10,000 fish they wanted to do. I'm hoping just for palatability is like at 6,000 at $5 is 30 grand. Okay, so at $30,000 to stock 6,000 fish into the lake was $30,000. Anglers and hunters will kick in usually a half, so they'll kick in 15,000 of that. So now from that, we're left with 15,000. So what we're looking at is the township doing 7,500. Through the association fundraising and whatnot, we're gonna cover off the other 7,500. That's on the low end. And let's say, for example, that the fish hatchery says, okay, we're good for 10,000. We can still come back and say, you know, yeah, we're only good to afford 6,000. And so we're not bound, you know, that's the range that we're looking at, that we were told from MNRF is as at an acceptable range to be putting it. If you look at some of the other numbers from back in 2012 to 2014, that is in line of the average they were doing back then too. So that's for the map.
Yeah, I just remember my other question, on the, machines, Ted was talking about the data and, who is, when we're renting that now for this next coming year.
Right.
So who looks after that?
So-
Is it you guys or?
We can, like I said, you will have a login into it and you access it through the internet. So the CD3 company, the server that collects all the data and all the aggregate information goes there. So the renters have access to know how effective their machine
So
is.
you'd be able to tap into that at
Absolutely.
any point in
Yep.
time?
Absolutely, yeah.
So in years to come, if you were to buy it, would that be part of that $1,500?
That $1,500 a year is,
Yeah.
honestly, Ted, I'll tell you, 85% of that $1,500 is software, unfortunately. So, it's just, that's just the cost towards the machine, and like I said, the others will pump out and just the tool replacement sets are there. And honestly, if you do have a chance, go to some of those hyperlinks, because there is a plethora of information in there for you. You know,
One more quick question. I don't know if I missed it when you were talking, but, so say we put 6,000 trail in first year.
Yes.
How many years would we be doing this, or is it
right now, they're looking at potentially 5.
5 years? That's 6,000.
That's right, yeah. That's right, and what they do, and Brian was probably involved with the last one, so they do it actually, and you'll see it on this chart here. They actually do it by markings on the pins, so that's how they can tell whenever they look, when they go to do a catch, they can figure out what year it was from, so that's their tracking mechanism. So and the biggest problem is the lake was identified that it wasn't regenerating, so that's the whole premise, that if we need to know that, you know, if it's not regenerating, okay, well, let's make sure the ones we're putting in are surviving. So that's kind of the nice part of them being a bigger finger lake, that's for sure.
So roughly 1,500, right, per year?
No, 6,000.
6,000?
6,000.
With, $5, yeah.
Per each of the 30 days.
How many do they put in?
Well, it's on the bottom part of that sheet. It's on-
And that was for the same people, right?
Yes, yeah, so what happens basically is, you know, Brian's probably been involved in it, but I mean, the mechanism basically is in October, they actually draw eggs from this lake because they try to keep the species the same, because they're acclimated and all the rest of this stuff, you know, the aquatics of the water. So they come in and draw in October, and then they actually go, that's when they put them back in the following October, so they are a year in Bancroft, and it was the exact same people.
So do you need anything from us tonight?
I think,
Other than the perfect board?
I'll always ask for the perfect world, yeah, of course, we'd like to know that, you know, that the council, I don't have a hard number in terms of what the, the hatchery can support, right? Right now, from what conversation wise is, yes, they've been able to support it. I just wanted to put this on your radar, because you may see my lovely face again the next meeting saying, yes, we have our numbers, and now I'm looking for a hard answer. So immediacy, no. But I did want it on your radar to know, like I said, I'm gonna have to come back and discuss it again.
And, because we are missing 2 counselors, right, we should definitely be involved in this process.
For sure.
Would it be advisable to the next meeting or the meeting after?
The next meeting, we should have an answer by, we will anyways for that.
We can't give an answer for we know that.
Right.
We can't say
So
yes.
when will you be prepared to come back?
He doesn't know.
I will have an answer before your next meeting, because I'm talking to him Friday. So and they're already converting.
I've got a good suggestion for you.
Okay.
Put the M and or F or whatever you wanna call them, put them out there in the boat. I was out there fishing, I seen a guy catches fish, go back, take him to his house, come back, go fish again, come back, take fish. Yeah, I bet you he went out there with 8 or 10 trout that day. That's what they gotta do is patrol.
And you know, unfortunately, likewise, there's also gonna be the person that sees the 90 kilometer speed sign, does about 20. There's, you know, hopefully it's always the exception, not the norm. I guess that's the end of the day. And likewise, if this machine is sitting at the boat launch and there's a fishing derby or something, you got a 4x8 sign that you guys put up, you have this machine sitting there. I'm hoping that we're gonna have the ability to have just an MNRF truck sitting there. I don't care if you read the book. But you know what? You don't speed when you see the police car behind you either. So maybe it just, if it makes you think, you know what's the best thing to do.
Because years ago, remember how? At the dump, people were saying you find bags of small pickerel like that, thrown when you don't find them in the. It wasn't, I guess really, there's no way of, you know, there's no way of measuring success in the previous thing.
We're too far of a gap right now, I think, from the previous, but like I said, they did do. The biologists that put MNRF, like, obviously, they did do analysis to say that, you know, obviously it's suitable for it, because I know, and Ryan knows, Stan has been working on this tirelessly, so. For him to get them to move forward finally with this, because zone 15 still isn't sorted out, I think. So, but I mean, for the fish, this stocking to be going ahead is a very big tribute to his work on this, for sure.
Well, thanks for giving us the head up, and we'll see you.
Thank you.
It's funny, the MNRF wouldn't take our fishing licenses and put in free stocking for them. Like they do in Lake Ontario and every other.
One of the things in terms of the invasive species side is that was actually one of the subjects that I did talk to the FPP about, was that there needs to be funding for information for people, whether it be at the school level or whatever. But I mean, I'm a big believer it has to start at schools. And if the kids know about it, then they'll talk to mom and dad about it, then it'll trickle down. So he's investigating this thing.
There's not another place.
Okay, moving on, the minutes of the previous meetings, the council meeting of June 3rd.
Moved by Harold Levine, second by Carl Field, motion to approve the minutes of the regular council meeting, June 3rd, 2025, opening closed sessions, understanding closed minutes, reading confidential.
Questions, concerns, all those in favor? Carried. And, anyone have any questions about the meetings yet? Everyone's been here for every one of those, which we tell us right now, we can't be. Here's some. Maybe next time you can tell us.
Okay. I won't be here the 15th, at 900 point now, it'll be a meeting back in time.
And Eddie won't be here before 4th of November.
Fourth of November.
I won't be here.
I will.
Yeah, that's one. Turn, see. Let's move on to reports.
Great. This will be, a report of May 20th, at the last meeting. fire operations, June 12th, we had enough call for burning garbage on Albert Street, and that was all we had for operation for the last month. Ongoing activities, we have our usual weekly truck checks and monthly equipment checks. Recent events, we had May 24th, we had KPS Car Wash, May 29th, KPS Fun Fair. June 4th, KPS grades 1 and 2 visit, we're getting taken over by KPS here. June 4th, we had the Chiefs Quarterly Meeting, June 5th, St. Andrew's Fun Night. Now, I'll go to upcoming events tomorrow, June the 18th, we have a KPS Water Fight event. June 18th as well, I have a fraud prevention seminar. June 25th, I have the IQ EMPO, which is improving the quality of emergency management programs in Ontario, just rolls off your tongue, you know. A fourth EMC working group meeting coming up. July 1st, as everyone's aware, we have a Canada Day and we'll have our fireworks display. July 2nd, I'm losing another firefighter, Andrew Armitage, service since March 19th, 2013. And then one thing that is interesting, you know, for recruiting and that, we don't have a big pool of people to draw from, usually younger males. Not that it's limited that by any means, you know, and people do quit for some reasons or others. But this is number 14 for me that left because they're moving out of the township. Since I've been here, so I'll be here 14 years in a couple of weeks. That's 1 year, we're losing. Moving.
Go lose another one because it's the house for sale.
Yeah.
Your firefighters.
Okay, recent training, May 20th, we had extrication with 3-year theory and practical. May 27th, relay pumping, June 10th, hydrants, hose streams, relay pumping again. June 17th, water supply, quarter tanks, high vol pump, that was probably caught. June 17th, the boys are doing that tonight. Upcoming training, June 24th, foam, theory practical, July the 8th, bi-monthly meeting. July 15th, equipment maintenance, hose cleaning. July 22nd, dry hydrant scenario at Round Lake Falls. August the 12th, pump training at Wajax, Highball, Round Lake Falls. August 19th is the quiz. August 26th is extinguishers, and we'll be at, Dwayne's gonna lead that one because my trainer is available that night. September 9th, bi-monthly meeting. September 16th, search and rescue smokehouse. September 23rd, vehicle fire. October 7th, radio comms. October 14th, ground and roof ladders. October 28th, extrication scenario. November 18th, hazmat, Canutech and chemical suicide. November 25th, bi-monthly meeting. December 2nd, size up scenarios, overhaul parts and sprinklers. And December the 9th, we'll be doing PPE and SCBA, knots. CEMC side of the shop, not much going on. We had a freshette on May 21st. That's it for this season. Upcoming event, June the 18th, there's an emergency management exercise team building. We're doing a county, exercise this year. So we won't be doing our own individual ones, we'll be doing it with quite a few other townships. I've also attached to this one is the daily wildlife hazard report. I've shown you these before, but it's been a while, thought I'd bring one forward, you see how our decision making is. You got a whole bunch of locations at the top. You'll see APK, BAN, BRA, etc., and you'll see those locations on the map. Now, on that map, the closest one to us is APK, which stands for Algonquin Park. And that's what we get our readings now. That handy for us is the top line of the chart. And as you see, the last 6 items, which are always fun to figure out, you have an FWI, a BUI, an ISI, an FMC, a DMC, and a DC. If you can always handle that one. And they've got the assessment against that grid that's in that sheet. It shows you whether there's low, medium, and high. And in this case, this was Sunday, I guess, June 14th, I put at the top of this one. You look at the numbers like the FMC is 98, so it's a high assessment. And now you gotta look at what's your what is that, the FFNC, so you wanna see what that is, that's a fine fuel moisture code, numerical reading of moisture content of liver and other cured fine fuels. So we gotta see what we're doing the assessment on, now, if you look at the 6 points across, you're going to see that we have, medium, 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 low, medium, and one high. So as far as preparing for a fire ban, I wouldn't base it on these numbers. So once we start getting increased numbers into high and extreme, we're probably talking with the chiefs at DLR, at NAW, at Bone Shore Valley, and see what everybody's planning and try together to make the decisions that are sensible altogether. So if there's any, that's what we're basing our normal assessment on.
Any questions for Bob? Have a good night. Thank you.
Okay. What's that?
And Colton, you're up.
All right. So this is just kind of an update of what I've been doing. I haven't been here for a little over a month, just due to last meeting scheduling. So Killwood Pathway Parks, trail maintenance is completely done, new reading stations are in, and I'm currently coordinating a plan with Nicole to get the reading stations filled. We had a new book lined up, but it was too costly. So we're in the midst right now of finding a filler for the reading station until we can allocate a new book. Planning to do a cleanup of like the grass along the trails, brush cleanup and garbage pickup. Any counselors who are available to help would be greatly appreciated. We're going to start with tentative days, the 24th to the 26th. I mean, I'll be there every day after work, trying to whippersnipping or doing whatever. So I have volunteers who have offered to come help as well. So any counselors help is greatly appreciated.
Time will be starting.
Probably 5 o'clock. Well, I mean, yeah, 4:35, that's the ground. Kenwood Cares grant submission, so I submitted a grant from the fire department to get new radios. The model number is the NX 1200s. I was hoping Bob was gonna be here to talk more about them, but that's all I can give you. They're new up-to-date radios to help with the communication of our fire department. So the events, so the gathering, candidate, car show are all booked, everything's good to go, and then I've attached the ads of each. You'll notice our candidate day, we have 2 ads. We have one for the actual programming, and one for the fireworks. That's due to the 2 grants I got for candidate day and having the recognition of the federal and provincial government. So that's why there's 2 ads, and that'll also be showing the leader. I'll have to put those, instead of just there being 1 full page on the leader, there'll be it'll be a full page, but it'll just be 2 ads on it, one recognizing the fireworks and one recognizing the program.
Both newspapers, right?
Yep, both newspapers, yep, Gazette and Lead. So the swim program, the students' first day are June 27th, and program is running from July 2nd to August 13th. Planning to do still end of year swim barbecue. Council Levine, Council McKill, if you're available again this year, be greatly appreciated, as well as any other councilors. So July 12th, I'm speaking at the Golden Lake Property Owners Association. I sent an email out to council earlier today. Any councilors who are able to go have been asked if we are putting a chair in for representatives. It's from 10 to 12, and yeah, and then I can follow up any additional details if you guys wish. And then the Round Lake Properties Owners Association, I'm attending on July 26th. I'm going to speak about our local events and activities and kind of what community development is all about. And I believe the mayor is joining me for both, correct?
Just so you know, the Gold Lake one, no politicians allowed to speak.
Yep.
So it's just a matter of going there to be.
Yeah, I'm speaking, but yeah.
You are chosen.
Yeah. And then that's basically it. There's one more thing I would like you guys to look at, and I've attached it to the back. It's an email. Basically, it's the member looking to see if she can put a stand at her Canada Day to sell snow cones, cotton candy, popcorn, and possibly glow sticks. You can kind of read what it's about, and then you can kind of give a direction based off of what you guys think.
We have, the Knights doing.
Yep, nights are doing the barbecue,
So this would be in addition to that.
correct.
St. Andrews, the school doesn't do anything anymore.
Not that I'm aware of, I haven't been notified of it, so.
Parents group doesn't do it.
Cause that's,
Their parents group don't do it.
they don't anymore.
What would they need, just a permit then for that? Or just-
If they want, so they probably have to fill out a vendor application form and, I can chat with Tammy about further requirements of what they need.
Serving certificate.
Well, it'd have to be, the health unit would have to approve them and all that stuff too, but that I can figure all that stuff.
Well, I don't have a problem with it if the school isn't doing anything, the school is doing something.
And no, I'm,
Yeah.
Always good having variety and going to a good cause, so
No, I don't see them. I think it'd be good.
as long as it passes all permits and everything like that.
and I'll make sure it's all hunky dory.
Probably draw in another 50 kids or so.
Anyone have any questions for Paul? I have a Paul. The first one, I know we had talked earlier about the Hill Farmers Market. And that they are charging the $5 fee for hydro. Did you ever check into that?
Nope, that, I think that was, just, in an email that went to you, so I was assuming that would be a council decision, that's just really good. Cause I can't do anything about that unless council wants me to go chat with them about.
So what they're doing, their vendors are being charged $5 for hydro. And we don't charge the market anything.
And we pay that.
Right.
And we pay what I do.
And we pay, but we don't charge them for anything.
Okay,
So I brought this up, he didn't want to vote it, and I don't think our agreement's not official yet, is it?
Our agreement has been signed, we're in the midst of receiving a special events permit, and that should be, that should be to us before the end, before the next time.
They can't be charging people for hydro.
No, so council. Can we give directions to Paul and sit down with them and say this, but
yes,
we can't do that.
no, wait.
And that's, I'm gonna be telling the farmers market that they can't charge that,
Well,
I have the authority to do that.
yes,
Okay.
and if they, charge it so far, they can give the people back the rebate of $5. That's. I wanna charge it.
I think the letter should. Myself, so.
Okay. Do we have proof that this is true? Okay, it's all, it's a lot of stuff that comes in.
Life promotions. The next one is pickleball, contract, are we close or?
We are, yeah, so there was a minor setback, but we are figuring it out.
And, the duck race. Where does the $1 per duck go?
So that is being held by us, and then it'll be given out as a prize at the end.
Price or the price?
Well, for second,
second, third.
yeah, yeah, I mean, we haven't really had much interaction with people buying the ducks, so I'm going to get a little more proactive with sending out ads and all that. Hoping to get it out around Lake Wilno, the whole township this week, and I'm also going to be promoting like we'll sell it day out type thing. Because we have a good volunteer base, we'll have people to staff it and keep up with it, which will make it easier to handle.
So all these ducks numbered? 1, 2, 3, 4.
They will be numbered, yeah, yeah. All 500 of them.
Irish Gathering, so is this a final edition?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, cause I sent you an email as far as flipping the times in the front of the, at our last meeting.
Just changing like the layout of the ad.
Yeah.
If council would like me to do that, I can 100% do that, but I didn't think that was I thought that was more of like a me thing for preference.
Well, because you have your title of what's going on, and then you find after as opposed to chronological. It just makes more sense to follow our.
Very welcome.
On that page. On the right hand side, where it says.
So what you're looking at there too, is 8.5 and 11, the actual advertisement's on 11/17, so it does look smushed there. I can refab it to make sure it looks all good for the leader, but it is on 11.5/17.
I didn't know that. See where the top, at the end,
Yeah,
as opposed to the front. So like 10 to 4 should be in front as opposed to the cultural center leading. It just looks smoother.
Okay.
looks fine to me, Paul. Not seeing. I was thinking.
Looks good to me. I think-
Like any other program is always time first, then detail. It's never detail then. time.
And I like it this way, because then I can look at the events and go, oh, I'd like to go to that one for times. I'd like to do that. So, I like it this way.
Typically, what I've done with all my promotion is I've done label and time. That's the way I've always done it.
Okay, council's okay then.
Yeah.
Looks good.
Flags. Were you to replace some hanging flags?
So I'm in the works, like you're talking the flags like the hydro poles.
Yeah, plus at the municipal paradise. The road chart.
Yeah, so Dean just brought in the samples of what they look like, and now I'm just sourcing sizes and dimensions to figure that out. But yes, I am getting I'm in the midst of finding new Canada flags and other Canada flags. There's options on Amazon, or we can go through a actual like 3D graphics or nature design.
So that's gonna be soon.
Yeah, it's going to be much cheaper and faster delivery to get it through Amazon. I'm just not sure. So,
They customized to, do they say kill the Irish gathering on them? Or is it just
Um,
Irish one?
So everything that I've seen doesn't say it. I've been told that once we did have it, but that would be costly to get
Yeah.
custom. You can, yeah, it's really council decision how they want me to proceed with it. Probably gonna be about $50 a flag if we go through 3D or nature design, and we're $10 on it.
I would say, well, my opinion is, cause I bought a really good Irish flag to fly. I paid $100 for it, but I bought the $10 flags. After a week. Made it, they're. So we get, there's buy a good one that lasts you for 4 years, buy a cheap one, you buy one every.
That's because you're half German instead of Irish.
Square, it's square.
Bottom line, Canadian flags, you'll have in place, right?
Sorry?
Cause we're almost at July 1st,
Mhm.
so
Yeah.
Where's the permit, that they're aware of that,
on the wrong flag.
of all, like,
Okay, cause like they're very torn apart, the roads, like the township flag and the main flag, they're very.
that would be.
They're
So
very-
I can remind. Really that.
So you need direction on which flag, right?
I think I got it. I think, yeah.
I really get it.
Okay, any other questions for Paul? Okay, thank you.
Oils, go on.
Big game, big game.
And you're in post? I just have a couple questions.
Can you, maybe Tuesday, I might not be, but maybe Wednesday, I might be able to come out in the evening. Can you shoot me a text?
Yeah, we'll do.
If you don't mind,
We'll do. Yep, no
I'll
problem.
bring my trimmer and stuff.
Nice. Sounds good.
I know you've been away. Recently, was maybe not making arrangements for John Mester. Or the very rate we said we're gonna leave that till September-ish. The other question I had was the asset management plan. There was July 1st deadline at the end of the week, and I think he said all of his requirements were put forward. But is he gonna update us also?
He had indicated that he was.
Any luck getting any of those answers from the accountant from with regards to the reserves? Which, the reserve question where, if they can take the monies out of the reserve to any other usage, like the road reserve, the big lump of money. And if we were able to access that to say if we need to do something in regards to building or whatever. Or if it was just committed totally to reserve roads. So that's,
I don't know.
and then the other one I had was to make up a bylaw. To the words, sort of the words of water and wastewater not to be included in the budget. As we have concluded our 2025 budget process, and it's proven that there have been 86,000 charged to our taxpayers. I think we should make a bylaw forcing that the overages do not get included in the process. So how about to alter the bylaw?
Has to be through the committee meeting and then presented to you. And just like any other bylaw.
So basically, Tammy can't make the bylaw and present it to council.
Then he has to. Make the bylaws.
So that
And he doesn't make the bylaws, we make the bylaws.
that would be our policy and procedure.
Assume so, I'm sure we already have bylaws.
I think that's where it is. We have a meeting coming up. That was postponed. Right?
It's on July the 2nd.
Okay. Good. Yeah. The accounts, road general voucher, 05-125, any questions? Oh, come on, it has to be one or two. Thank you, Brian.
27335.
That would be Harbor.
That's the woodworking. This one of those, I don't know. 27337.
That's home hardware, so it would have been materials, bought at home hardware, and normally it covers.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Oh,
Okay, thank you.
I'm being quiet tonight, it's okay.
Moving on. Any committee reports? Okay, correspondence. We were asked to bring this one forward again. Everyone's supposed to review it. Should that might have been Councilor Smith that brought that up for review? First one. Council's climate plan. So that's the very first one you attached. It's from Olivia Campbell. We want to share that one until, I think it was Councilor Smith.
If you read the email, it basically, they want you to sign a, yes, So there's really no discussion, it's whether or not council chooses to sign it individually. The petition is what it is.
Does anyone want to sign the petition?
Everyone become 100% plant-based.
No, it's not the one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next one is Township of Georgian Bay, home accommodations, position paper. Next one is from MECP, proposed amendments to the Resource Recovery and Circular Economy Act. The next one is from Ray Stanley. This one is for information, county Renfrew, county project update. Next one is City of Woodstock. Bill number 5, protecting Ontario by unleashing our economy.
Would like some more information. Bill 5. Seems to be a lot of these coming through. They
Just using the phrase Bill 5, so.
I can.
Next one is Township of Black River Mountain, request for exemption, firefighter certificate.
I'll speak on this one, I'm for supporting them. I don't think we should have to certify our volunteer firefighters. It's hard enough to get people to join, and this is very time consuming, very expensive to the townships. It has to be, it comes into that next summer, I believe, so. I would like to.
And there is a resolution.
Moved by Ted Brown, second by Brian Crosby, be it resolved that council for the township of Hillview, Hagerty, Measures hereby supports the resolution received from the corporation of the township of Black River Master Plan regarding firefighter certification opposition as attached. Be it further resolved that council for the township of Hillview, Hagerty, and Richards firmly opposes the mandatory firefighter certification requirements as currently outlined in O Reg 34322. And be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to the Solicitor General, Premier of Ontario, MPP Billy Dunham, and the fire marshal, AMO, FONNAM, and all Ontario municipalities for the support and endorsement.
All those in favor? Here. Town of LaSalle, bill number 5, protect Ontario by unleashing our economy. Municipality of Strathroy. Support Chad Kemp resolution bill 5. Township of Green Lakes, Stormwater Power. I think we're gonna start seeing another raft of these come through because there's very, very strong indication that all the remaining municipalities will all be strong there. So basically, Ontario, all municipalities will. Yeah, done.
Do we have anybody attending this SEMO thing
Amo? Yep,
from our,
yep.
Usually Bill and Maureen.
it might be a good thing to sit in? Somebody should, represent us and bring
Well,
back.
we're trying to make a delegation with Bosher Valley and North Alpine in regards to strong their policies. So. We have,
But I think that, sorry, Maria, but I think at the annual conference, you're going to be attending, I think that in that email, they're saying that they're going to be doing a networking group of some kind,
we get coalition.
and I think they're opening up their,
Yeah,
if I read that correctly.
that's what I would check.
I haven't seen anything come through. By email. me to review this further, see what's actually happening. Okay? Jenny Kaplinski, invitation, making peace. City of Wolf, special economic zones. Okay. And Bradford, advocate for increased income support threshold for Canadian veterans.
Moved by Ted Graham, second by Carl Keel, that bylaw number 23, 2025, being a bylaw to adopt estimates of all sums required for municipal purposes during the year and to strike the rates of taxation for the year 2025, and to further provide for penalty and interest in default of payment thereof for 2025 for the corporation of the township of Killeen, Mayor Dean Richards, be given its first, second, and third reading, and finally passed the 17th day of June 2025.
Questions, concerns? All in favor? Carried. Is there any unfinished business? Any new business? Sure.
We had a problem again with the grading down at the Round Lake Boat Dock over the weekend. Dean went down, I was back, went down too, and I was watching, they're backing off of that, there was 6 units put in. And they're back and it's going off, the trailer's going over the last one. But that's where the big gully is all in it. And I went down, they were trying to pull it out, and two of the mats have already got pieces broken out of it, and the clips were just bent right up. So Dean went down on Monday, he went down last Sunday after testing. And went down Monday, they pulled out the bottom 3. Until that big hole, we can fill it in with sand, they won't go back in. Because they're just getting destroyed, and I think it could be some of it, not all of it. The pontoon trailers, their wheels are more inside. And they're probably hitting that center part where the hole is. And it's just, this is the second time he's had to pull them out. They made new clips and everything else for them. The top 3 were fine. I went down there again today and they're still not even being moved, but they're on the flats. So tell we can get in, put sand in there, the bottom 3 ones, will probably won't be going back into it. They're just getting destroyed.
Yeah.
So originally Dean had said we would permit those to come from an RF, that wasn't going to happen until July. Is that in place?
I'm not sure.
According to the email, yeah.
I think it was just at the top.
I'm just, for now, one second, read it. All he says restrictions the MNR has.
We knew about the restrictions, it was just, he was applying for a permit, and if I'm not mistaken, it was something like a $1,200 a year fee, there was some type of fee that they related to it, or something, but end of the day, it was July when they said they could give him authorization if the paperwork was in place. I guess that's the piece I'm looking.
We just got this email, okay, so maybe Annie can check with the, find out. And yeah, I think there is, they can finish up what you were saying, Harold.
Yeah, to get in there and with the water up high as it is now, people in there trying to rake the sand out. Well, the Dean said, even if they could put part of it over. But I'm sure we won't get out to that, we just say thing, so I'll be looking at it, so wait. Dean no more, so the water goes back down, so in there. That gully's probably a foot and a half, you see. And it's all from the tops, below. Off the rounds.
And And you're thinking that it's because of the bigger boats?
Some boats have rollers on, trailers, and it's easier to get the boats out. A lot of them have the beds on it, so you get that boat into the water, so the boat can't get it off the trailer, so they gotta go out further. Just like people would know, that's what went on down there. I watched them, you see the trailer come up and see. Hold the mat with it.
Anybody else have anything for the business? In regards to that email that we sent out today. Everyone has replied to me. As far as giving him permission in regards to your request for the township. I get them.
My internet's been out since for 3 days now.
So maybe first thing in the morning, if you could just maybe call it up, okay, we was looking for approval. That would be a. Is there anything else? In the new business?
Just the, piece of budget.
Oh, yeah, sure.
So again, I provided council the piece of budget provided by our auditor, which, every year we have the same process to adopt, so I do have a resolution. Made by Ted Brown, second by Harold Levine, that's planning section 2-1 Ontario Regulation 28409, meets 2001. Council for the Township of Kilburn, Aberdeen, Richards hereby adopts the Ontario Regulation 28409 report as attached as approval for the exclusion of amortization expenses in the 2025 budget for the Township of Kilburn, Aberdeen, Richards.
All those in favor? Sure. And now we will be going in close.
Moved by Ted Brown, second by Carl Field, motion to move into committee of the whole. Be it resolved that council move to close meeting pursuant to section 239, about 2001, that's a condition of personal matters that labor relations are related litigation of potential litigations, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board.
Okay.
Good night, everybody.
Take care of you.